Needing everyone's Zamora here. So last night on Heathen Haven, Numbnuts Bill Schnoebelen, they were debunking his video on Beltane, and Bill Schnoebelen had said something along the lines of they do this ritual in the Catholic Church where they marry little girls to older men, and then they sacrifice them and rape them and all this other shit. And Dorian J had said, look, we don't do this in the Catholic Church that I was raised in. But Dorian was raised in a Catholic church in Canada. And the images that Schnoebelen was showing seemed to be people of, I want to see, like, Hispanic or maybe South American or something. They certainly weren't white Canadians. But it was this picture of a little girl putting this wreath of flowers on top of what looked like the Virgin Mary's head. But she was wearing like this white dress, and he was saying that obviously she was a child bride and blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, it just got me thinking about, local influences in different churches, in different Catholic traditions. Because, like Lilokin said, if you go to a church in England, they're going to do stuff different than the church in America, and different than the church in Canada, different than the church in Mexico, and different than the church in Egypt. And it is my belief the reason why is ancient pagan cultures. So I'm sure Drolin will know a few more, and I'm sure Azrael knows even more. But I've got one story to share with you that proves ancient pagan cultures influence modern Christian ones. So there is a church called the Coptic Church, which is a Christian church in Egypt. And funny enough, they actually use the Coptic language to help decipher hieroglyphs. But that's another story. So the Coptic Church actually does a festival where they dump flowers and I think it's red wine or something like that, into the Nile for offering, for their new Jesus, or whatever reason that they do it for. But it's indicative of a festival, a ritual that the Egyptians used to do, where they would dump flowers and wine into the Nile for their gods. And I think it was Sobek. I could be wrong, but anyway, yeah, the Egyptians used to do that, and it's just something that the Catholic Church, when they came along and were like, you will worship our God, it's something that they kept and in their own practice. Now, you will not find this practice in the Catholic Church down the road here. They're not going to be dumping flowers and wine into the Truckee River, which flows through Reno. So it's really kind of amazing to see how pagan influences stay. Like Drolin, I'm sure you know about I think it was Saint Bridget, or I think is what her name. Maybe you know her by her goddess name, Lady of the Wells. So that's something that the Catholic Church adopted in Ireland. They adopted one of the deities and called her a saint. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the way that ancient pagan culture survived through the church, I guess. So if you guys happen to know of anything that the church does, that's indicative of a specific culture, maybe one that you practice, or maybe one that you just happen to know about, do a video response. Leave comments down below, Make the comments down below. I want to see them. I want to read them. I love reading about the way that the church has incorporated pagan practices into their organization. So, that's it for tonight, guys. Synapte.